here we go. For real this time. We will make the clink sound with our mouths. Ready? Clink.
Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns.
Very good. I'm in the middle. In the middle.
Unicorns.
In the middle.
Oh, the girl in all my guys.
Rub their eyes.
Girl in all my guys.
I'm in the middle. In the middle.
Unicorns. Unicorns.
Time for cake. Time to deliver the cookies.
So I bought one. Now you best prefer.
When the dance time to deliver the cookies. Kick back.
We got bombs.
Time.
Does it?
Hit up. There we go. You got it big pull. Oh, you got it big pulling.
I recorded message.
You got it big pull. Oh, you got it big pulling.
I recorded
No, big pull.
like sleeping. Oh,
Oh, you got it big pulling.
like sleeping.
Come on. No, got it big pull.
Like sleeping and waiting.
Oh, you got it big pulling. Pulling.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Pause for effect.
Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them. Unicorns, I love them. Yeah.
Very good. I'm in the middle.
Unicorns, I love them.
In the middle. The middle. In the middle.
Unicorns, unicorns.
Okay.
The girl in all my guys.
Can't you see? Rub their eyes.
The girl in all my guys.
Can't you see? Rub their eyes.
Does this count as annoying?
Time to deliver the cookies.
So I bought one.
Time.
Now you best prefer.
When the dance time to deliver the cookies. Kick back.
We got bombs.
Time.
Does it?
Hit up. There we go. Keep clinking. You got it big pull. Oh, you got it big pulling.
I recorded message.
You got it big pull. Oh, you got it big pulling.
I recorded
No, big pull.
like sleeping. Oh,
Oh, you got it big pulling.
like sleeping.
Come on. No, got it big pull.
Like sleeping and waiting.
Oh, you got it big pulling. Wow, that was something else.
Just one more.
No.
Hey Rain. Hey Jime. Alright. So I got the DS version of Phoenix Wright working. So I wasn't unfortunately able to get the Wii version working with episode 5 because it's like DLC. So it got finicky and I couldn't ever get it working. So I just picked up the DS version. Luckily I had already completed the first 4 episodes by myself on that version. So we can start episode 5 today. And then tomorrow we'll pick back up Fossil Fighters. I got the T-Rex head, so I'll clean that and revive it on stream, I guess. Took like 3 hours. Speaking of taking 3 hours, yeah, we're completing this episode today, one way or another. Whether it takes me 4 or 5 hours or whatever. So, because I really want to get back to Fossil Fighters after this. So, gonna do that today. What is this, James Bond? What? I guarantee this is Phoenix Wright. Yeah. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of the intro for like Um, James Bond games. It's been 2 months since Maya left the office. 2 months without a single trial. I've had offers, but none I took. That is, until the day that girl showed up. February 22nd, 10:02 a.m. Wright & Co. Law Offices. Why do I come here to the office every day? It's not like I want to work. There you are! Finally! Where have you been? My sister's trial is tomorrow! Who are you? It doesn't matter who I am, it only matters who you are. You're the famous defense attorney, Mia Fey! Oh, you're not Mia Fey, are you? I'm sorry, but Miss Mia Fey is no longer works here. So, you are the coffee boy? I'm Phoenix Wright, a defense attorney. Right. Wait, you're the Phoenix Wright? The Phoenix Wright from the Edgeworth murder case? Yeah, that's correct. It wasn't Edgeworth who was murdered, though. That's a relief, then. You're better than nobody. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'm not taking cases right now. But you are Phoenix Wright, right? The undefeated defense attorney? Look, I'm not accepting any new cases. I'm sorry, but you'll have to try elsewhere. Please! I'm out of time. But... please, you have to help. It's my sister. Yeah, apparently this is a pretty good one. Maya, could it be? Okay, I'll hear you out. Really? Thank you so much! She also appeared, if you're watching Coil's stream yesterday, she also appeared in, that game, too. My name's Emma Sky. I'm a scientific investigator. I never actually played this one. This is the file from when I played through the game the first time, and I never actually... I think I moved on to the next game after I completed the 4th episode, so I've never actually played this one. I don't know why. Shrug? I really don't know why. Anyway. Oops, sorry. Scientific investigator? Emma, was it? So you're a scientific investigator? Yes, that's right. Is something wrong? No, it's just... you seem kind of, jumpy. Or maybe just... young? Young? I'll be 16 years old this year. Oh, I see. Wait, only 16? I'm set to be formally assigned to forensics in 3 more years. My work is becoming quite well known. At my age, no less. So what exactly is your current position then? Well, legally speaking, I guess you'd call me an 11th grader. But I'm ready to do my job, at my age, no less. Great, another future professional in training. So what's this about a case? You said the trial's tomorrow? My sister didn't do it. She wouldn't stab someone with a knife. She wouldn't. So, it's a murder case. Well, yeah, every single case you've ever taken, Phoenix, is a murder case. Literally every single one turns into a murder case. Anyway. Even if it's not clear at the beginning that it will be a murder case. I don't care if there's a witness who saw her do it. She didn't do it. I know she didn't do it. It's a scientific fact. And there's a witness. Just talk to her. You have to talk to her. Right. I suppose I will. I promised I'd bring Mia Fey, but... that's interesting. How would she know Mia? So, you want to be a scientific investigator when you grow up then? Excuse me? I'm not a child, I'll have you know. I'm just an 11th grader. Still, it's good to have a goal, albeit a very unusual one. I believe an investigation should be done scientifically. Don't you? Yeah. Sure can't fault her for a lack of enthusiasm. if this case is handled scientifically, I'm sure my sister's name will be cleared. Your sister? I've been doing research, you know. I'm developing a new scientific method of case investigation. I'll show you when I'm done. I'm looking forward to it. Guess I should get down to the detention center and talk to her sister. My sister asked for her specifically. Mia Fey was a few years below her in school, so she went to the same school as Mia. She always told me to go to Mia if I ever needed a defense attorney. And, well, I need one. Incidentally, Mia is a woman. Mia? Yeah, I thought it was a little strange when I saw you too. Well, it is nice of you to help your sister out like this. You must be close. Hmm? Well, actually, when she gets like she is now, I kind of hate her. Huh? But she's my only family. Your only family? What about your parents? They died in a car accident when I was little. Oh, I'm sorry. February 22nd, Detention Center, Visitor's Room. I wonder what's wrong with Emma. She got quiet all of a sudden as soon as we arrived. Guard, I thought I told you I didn't want visitors. No, that's just Edward's voice. Guard, I thought I told you I didn't want visitors.
Sorry, ma'am. It's just your sister.
No excuses. Or did you not want a raise this year?
Understood, ma'am.
What was that all about? Hi, Lana. Funny. I seem to remember specifically telling you not to come here. Perhaps my memory is failing. Look, I didn't want to come here either, okay? But your trial's tomorrow and you still don't have a defense attorney. I'll be the one in court tomorrow. This has nothing to do with you, Emma. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Hey! How do you know me? Mia mentioned you. I've heard quite a bit. I'm sorry. What exactly is it that you do? My name is Lana Sky. I'm chief prosecutor for this district. You're a prosecutor? Two sisters. One a lawyer? Could this be a coincidence? Emma, Lana, I mean, they're just like... Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? I mean, it's like a general's uniform with a scarf. There's something you should know from the start. Which is? The suspect in this case has confessed to the crime. Huh? Wait, but the suspect is... me. I did it. Well, Mr. Wright? Well, why don't you begin by telling me exactly what happened? The crime took place yesterday, February 21st, at 5:15 p.m. It's not like we haven't ever proved somebody is lying when they say they did it. So, you know. That's quite specific. It was in the witness's deposition. Deposition? I think it's pronounced deposition. A witness clearly saw me committing the crime. Yeah. That was a bit of bad luck, wasn't it? The crime took place in the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. The body was found in the trunk of my subordinate's car. The prosecutor's office, huh? Your subordinate's car trunk? Classy. I was arrested on the spot. Caught red-handed, as it were. My. So, who was the victim? An investigator with the police department. I suppose the correct term is detective. A detective? Death was due to a loss of blood. He was stabbed once in his stomach. By you? Death wasn't immediate, but the wound was fatal. I see. Allow me to repeat myself, Mr. Wright. The victim was a detective. You know what that means, don't you? Uh-oh. What, Mr. Wright? What does it mean? Well, it means the police department will consider a matter of pride to have me found guilty. They will use any means at their disposal to do so. This case gets worse and worse with everything I learn. So you're the chief prosecutor? That is correct. I'm responsible for overseeing every trial handled by prosecutors in this district. I make sure the prosecutors have what they need to do the job and manage every aspect. Those are my responsibilities, in a nutshell. That's an awfully large nutshell. Still, I'm a little surprised. I would think you'd recognize the district's chief prosecutor, Mr. Wright. Huh? In fact, it seems impossible you wouldn't. Lana? What happened to your hand? Oh, this? I cut myself by accident. When I stabbed him, that is. Huh? I'm not very good at being a criminal, I suppose. How am I supposed to defend this? Time to change the subject. Wait, she was in the class ahead of Mia, wasn't she? You were in school with Mia, correct? A few years above her? Emma told you that too, did she? Well, why not? I did drag him all the way here from his office. Although, it seems he has a very little in common with Mia. Hey! It was in law school. I was in my 3rd year, and she was auditing the class. She was different than the other students. Different? She was strong. She'd do anything to become a defense attorney. Anything. That was probably why she was attracted to me. Excuse me? Intellectually attracted. Lana was top of her class in school. I was the best there was. Oh. I'm doing pretty good in school too, by the way. Yeah. It sounds a bit different when Emma says it. Well, Mr. Wright? Excuse me? As you can plainly see, I'm admitting my guilt. I think it's safe to say, there's no way you can take this case. None. But Lana! You were always this way, weren't you? You never think of anyone but yourself. I know you didn't do it, Lana. I know. So how can you say you did? If I lose you, I'll be all alone. I hate you, Lana. Mr. Wright? Yes? I believe our discussion here is ended. The rest, I leave to you. You mean you're requesting my services as your defense? Don't lose any sleep over it. Your client has confessed after all. The case is over. Right. I'll do what I can to get to the bottom of this. Lana has confessed to the crime, yes. But something doesn't fit. It's that look in Emma's eyes. There's something else going on here. And I'm going to find out what. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. Huh? About what? My sister. She's not always like that, you know. I just never expected to be defending another prosecutor again. She's changed a lot. She used to be so gentle, always smiling. Everybody liked her. I see. Sorry, but I'm having trouble imagining that. What happened to her? I don't know for certain myself. I think maybe she... Well, maybe not. Sounds like there's something that defies a simple scientific explanation. Let's go check out this underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office, shall we? Okay! So this is the lot where it all happened? Looks like they're still investigating. Funny that my first visit to the prosecutor's office should be like this. Hey everyone! Keep up the good work! Hey! What are you thinking? Well, they are going to be my coworkers 3 years from now after all. No harm in saying hello. Actually, there is. You know, attorneys aren't supposed to examine crime scenes. I'm trying not to stand out too much here, see?
Hey there. You expecting go unnoticed here, partner?
Partner? Oh, it's not... What do we have here? Looks like a bambina got loose from the ranch and is up to no good. I thought it would be Gumshoe, but it's a cowboy. Folks gotta learn to keep them doggies tied down, partner. Mr. Marshall! Marshall looks more like a sheriff to me. Look here, Bambina. I know how you feel. But this is my gang's Jewel Strike. See? Strike? This is our claim, our territory, and the gold mine is evidence. If you're fixing to mess with what's ours, you'll regret it, partner. You know what dreams the cacti out in the desert dream? You want to? What's this guy talking about? You head along home now. Happy trails, Bambina. Was that, Ombre, a friend of yours? Kind of. Sort of. Yeah, he's a detective. Who thinks he's a sheriff from the Wild West, it seems. Alright, I guess let's take a look around. What do we got? Whoops. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Different, I am actually kind of remembering this case now. I remembered this bit, so maybe I did play a little bit of this. Question mark? I don't know. Whatever. Let's keep playing. Because I should pull up a walkthrough, just in case, because I want to get through this case in one go, like, as fast as possible. Because I have a feeling it's going to take, like, more than 3 hours. Well, no time to waste. Let's get hunting for clues. I wonder what this is. Well, partner, looks like you got no intention of going home quietly. The sheriff. Like I said before, this here's our claim. You'd best be moseying along, unless you're fixing to bite the bullet. Scary. Could you just tell us one thing? Who owns that car? Well. Little Philly's got a good nose on her. You want to know who rides that red Mustang with the body in her saddle, eh? Please. No problem, partner. About time for victuals anyway. Get yourself to the saloon up on the 12th floor of the prospector's office. Might just find you a Caravesa you like. Prospector's office? Where does this guy think he is? And when, for that matter? Note to self. Look up Fiddles, Saloon, Curvesa. Yeah, he does. He keeps shaving his beard with, like, I think it's called a Bowie knife? Like, it's one of those huge knives. Note to self. Look up Fiddles, Saloon, Curvesa. Vittles is food, Saloon is a saloon, pub, basically, or a bar. And Curvesa, that one I'm not so sure about. What's Curvesa? Maybe we should check out room 1202, the High Prosecutor's office. In any case, stay away from the car. You can look around here all you like, just to keep your paws off our claim. Right. Great. Great! Maybe there's some clues around here, Mr. Wright. Let's check it out. What's this? A wallet? Excuse me, officer. Wait! What are you doing, Mr. Wright? What am I doing? I just found this wallet, so I'm handing it over to the police. I don't believe it. This is real basic. Anything at a crime scene is evidence. Let's be scientific about this, please. Just put it in your pocket. Well, just like Maya, she's like, it's not stealing as long as you give it back. Eventually, right? Oh boy. How is that scientific? Sounds like theft to me. Wallet hastily stuffed into pocket. Nice. I'm called to duty already, and at my tender age. Here, I'll teach you the trick to examining evidence in detail, okay? By the way, her eyes are sparkling. I can tell she's been waiting for this. Oh, that's right. We get some more gimmicks with the DS touchscreen and all that for this specific case. Okay. Now, look at the court record. All right. You have to be sure to examine evidence carefully on all sides. Yeah, they do this in some of the later games, too, where sometimes you can examine things. They only really did it for this game, for this last one, but, yeah. Now, let's start examining, from every angle. They also implemented it into the, Miles Edgeworth stuff, too. Oh look, there's a clue here. You should check it out. Press the examine button. This is an ID card. Detective Bruce Goodman, ID number 5842189. See? Well, isn't scientific investigation useful? I guess. But I don't see what science has to do with it. Goodman's ID added to the court record. Let's be sure to examine every piece of evidence we find. I guess I've got to be on my toes from now on. Excuse me, were you two all set? Us? Who is this? Okay. What's this? She couldn't be. You're selling lunches? Here? This is a crime scene. Hello. Half and half, was it? Oh, thanks. And you, sir? Yes? Some crunchy goodness coming at you. Thanks. Interesting way of doing business. This area is off limits to anyone without clearance, especially passers-by, or you officers. No, but you don't exactly look like the type to have clearance. Well, that's hardly a way to greet someone. Even if my days as the cough-up queen are over. Cough up? Huh? You know, I'm feeling kind of full. Maybe I'll pass on lunch. I'm quite connected to this case, you see. The images are burned into my eyes, you might say. Yeah, the Agiri has fun. You might say, yes, all the sordid secrets. Secrets? Dear me, you are a slow one, aren't you? I'm referring to the murder, the stabbing of that detective. What? A witness clearly saw me committing the crime. And the octopus necklace? I didn't notice that. Hold on, I'll check it a sec. You mean you're the witness my sister was talking about? Please, cough up, Queen. Please, cough up, Queen. Tell us what happened. The name is Angel Star. Don't you go forgetting it. Or before you know it, I'll have you whimpering at my heels. Yes, ma'am. Yipes, she means it. Somehow, I knew. Yesterday was a day of destiny. I knew something was going to happen. Just like I know the daily special on Friday every week is salmon. Destiny? Was yesterday's special for some reason? You're a defense attorney, right? You should know then. You should know the foul misdeeds of the evil ones who haunt this den of inequity. Evil ones? Prosecutors. They have no qualms at all about blackening the name of innocence. And yesterday they paid homage to the most evil one of all. They gave an award for King of Prosecutors. What a farce. So, she's saying there was some sort of prosecutors convention yesterday? I was almost compelled to lace our lunches with something foul. Do you have a personal grievance against prosecutors or something? Or is there some kind of scientific evidence of this, evil? Young miss, mock me at your risk. You'll soon find out why they call me Cough-Up Queen. You! The most heinous of all the evil ones, the one they awarded yesterday. It was in his car that they found the body. Proof that he devours the evilest lunches of all. Really? Really what? I'm totally confused. One thing's clear. This lunch lady has a thing against prosecutors. She's definitely not your traditional lunch lady. So, what exactly is it that you witnessed, Miss Star? It was a fascinating spectacle, to be sure. I now feel I know what they say when they talk about a woman's wrath. See, Lana Sky wield that knife so. Her knife flashed in anger, bringing him to a sad end. It was truly a sight to see. You mean you saw the very moment of the crime? The sound of his silvery ties to this world being cruelly cut still rings in my ears. And the rhythmic beat of Lana Sky's knife. Wait a second. You know Lana Sky? Of course. It's quite a feat, becoming chief prosecutor. How many lunchboxes of sin did she pack to make that journey, I wonder? She always travels light. Now, why would this pretty lunch lady know the chief prosecutor's name? Could we ask you a bit about yourself, Miss Star? I come here every day to sell lunches. And I import only the freshest and best from the Far East. For some reason, the box lunches are a hit here. Why not make the lunches here rather than import them? Did you say something? No. Only true connoisseurs can understand. The kind you can only tell someone who has tried General So's trial bite lunch set. Bite lunch set. Ah, never mind. You win. I don't even want to appreciate part of a Trilobite's flavor. Anyway, I come here every day to sell lunches. My boyfriend works in the security room here at the prosecutor's office. Your boyfriend? See the security room over there? The glass-walled booth? I sell my lunches and, since I'm here anyway, I drop in to see him. Since you're here anyway, I guess selling lunches is more important than romance. So, scientifically analyze the data available so far. You, Miss Star, are a lunchbox vendor with an ulterior motive for coming here. Useful analysis. Not. Did you have a bad experience with a prosecutor, Miss Star? I sense some hostility. Hostility? Huh. Perhaps. Prosecutors are all alike, and the bigger they get, the worse they smell. Kind of like 10-day-old clams in the chowder. I wonder if Miss Star was involved in some sort of legal trouble in the past. That'd be a sure cause of food poisoning. Scientifically speaking, of course. I mean, now you're talking Cough-Up Queen. I thought she was just a lunch vendor, but now I'm not so sure. About this card. Lunchland vendors only accept cash, no cards. Especially not a card belonging to someone else. No, this isn't credit card. It's an ID card. It belongs to a detective. And you're showing this to me, the lunch lady. Why? That's like showing a fine honeyed ham to a detective. Why do I always feel like I'm being mocked? Alright. See if there's anything else around here. Alright, I guess let's head upstairs to the High Prosecutor's office. Look to the left. Can you guess who it is? This is the kind of room that just screams... Yeah, this is why they say don't be rude to the people who make your food, yeah. Don't bite the hand that feeds and all that, right? This is the kind of room that screams, I can do the job. Quite a change from your office, really. Thanks. Look, look, there's a trophy or something here. A trophy? What, that shield? It takes real nerve to display stuff like this. Whoever's office this is, he must be a real stuck-up jerk. Mr. Phoenix Wright. You never tire of prying into other people's business, do you? That voice! Long time no see, Edgeworth. Huh? Ah! Mr. Edgeworth! You know him from somewhere? Of course! I'm his biggest fan! My sister introduced us once, and... Right. Her sister was the chief prosecutor, after all. Well, what brings you here? I'll warn you, I've been known to be a real stuck-up jerk. No! Did I... No! It was just... Mr. Wright here, he... Hey, don't blame me! We're just here to investigate a murder case. Murder? A body was found in this nasty bright red sports car in the parking lot. That wouldn't be my car. What of it? What? Your car? I'll say one thing, she certainly can scream. So, the body was found in your car? Go ahead, say it, Wright. You think I did it, don't you? After you went through all that trouble to help me last year, no less. No, we don't think you did it. I mean, it was my sister who stabbed him. Wait, no, she didn't do that. I mean... Wait. So you're the chief prosecutor's little sister, then? Yes, sir. Emma Skye. I think that's his actual coat. I think backstory on that is that it's his... We can examine it to see if he says anything, but I think the backstory on that is it's the coat he from the first time he was in court. It's also there to cover up a safe, but... Yes, sir. I'm a Skye. It's nice to meet you again. Now that you didn't... Now that didn't sound forced at all. Ah, now I remember. You've really grown. I'll admit, it was a surprise to me too. To think that my own car would become the scene of a murder. More surprising still, now I'm forced to prove my superior's guilt. I can understand. Wait, what did you say? Lana Skye is the chief prosecutor. The top prosecutor in the district. She can't prosecute herself, so I'll be the prosecutor at the trial tomorrow. You? Mr. Edgeworth. To be honest, it's a bit of a miracle I'm still here at all. What do you mean? Rumors. You've heard the rumors about me, haven't you? Miles Edgeworth. It's hard to remember a time when there weren't rumors about this guy. Forging evidence, arranging false testimony, illegal searches, you name it. Thanks to you, my innocence was established in the trial at the end of last year. However, there are some who say I'm the one responsible for the current incident. What? That's crazy! Some people need very little to excuse to think ill of others. It's a fact of life, impossible to stop. But some of them even go so far as to present me with toys like this. They think it's funny. Toys? That bronze shield? There's gotta be a story behind that one. Pretty much, yeah. People gonna be jealous. Chief Prosecutor Skye? Yes. We first worked together on a case 2 years ago. It was my first big case. That's right. I remember. 2 years ago. I wasn't even a lawyer yet. Since then, I always felt that she was looking out for me. appears I was mistaken. Mistaken? Why? I mean, I know she's not the warmest person, but I'm sure she's felt some responsibility for you. Then, why? Why did she stab someone in the trunk of my car? Not only that, she stabbed him with my knife. What? What? Mr. Edgeworth, your knife was the murder weapon? To be specific, it was the knife kept in the toolbox in the trunk of my car. Edgeworth? What? Are you sure you didn't do it? Come on, can't he take a joke? You have a strange sense of humor, Mr. Wright. Let me open up the court record, see if we can examine that knife at all. This must be the victim's blood, right? Either that or Edgeworth cut himself peeling an apple. What's Edgeworth doing with a knife like this anyway? Hey, maybe he spends his weekends roughing it in the wild. Edgeworth? In the wild? I think my fruit peeling theory is more likely. Are you kidding? I've always pictured him as an outdoorsman. Now there's a scary thought. Anything else we can see on this thing? Doesn't look like it. No prints on the knife, of course. Wow! This jacket is even lacier than his usual ones. This must be his lucky trial jacket. Lucky jacket, right. I've never seen him wear it. I'm sure there's a story behind why it's in a frame. Maybe I'll be naughty and take a picture. She's getting way too excited about this. Edgeworth, leader of the jungle. What's with that weird chessboard? Hey, a chessboard! I'm not too up on my chess, but it looks like blue's in a bit of a tight spot. The red knights have it surrounded the blue pawn. Huh? Those horses are mounted knights. Their swords have really sharp edges. And check out that poor pawn. His head is kind of spiky. Kind of reminds me of you. Mr. Edgeworth must be an avid chess player. What's wrong, Mr. Wright? Edges. Surrounding a pawn with spiky hair. Nah, it's nothing. Ooh, cute! What a pretty tea set. I go more for the instant tea bags myself. Amazing! The drawer below is filled with packets of tea leaves. They're all sorted by place of origin and flavor. Look at this royal blend! What an exquisitely splendid concoction! There's such a thing as taking a hobby too far. A work desk. It's quite tidy, as one might expect. What a nice desk! Easy to use and easy on the eyes. It's polished so well I can see my own reflection. Strange. Why did I just picture Detective Gumshoe? Maybe I'll take that name plaque as a souvenir. Don't. He'll sue you. I think it's canonically that Gumshoe keeps Edgeworth's office very tidy when he's away and everything. In fact, I think at the beginning of his side game, Edgeworth's side game, he comes back and Gumshoe talks about how he's been keeping it clean, and in fact that's part of how they figure out who did it, because he didn't know to clean behind the painting. He didn't know there was a safe there, so you can see where somebody's hand was messing around with the safe in the dust. Okay, let's see. Oh, hey, Koyo. Okay, where are we at next? This is why I was bringing up a... Oh, nope. Sorry, Azerlane, you're gonna have to wait. By the way, I've been making some more progress on Azure Striker Gunvolt so we can get the true ending. Right now I'm collecting gear and stuff because I have to run the stages over and over again to get like specific drops, so I can make some good gear so we can take on the last, like the true ending thing. And then I'll look up the place of the gems, pick them up, and then we'll do a stream of that probably sometime close to the end of Fossil Fighters. Maybe like after Fossil Fighters, between that game and the next game, I'll do the true ending of that game. Anyway, what was I doing? Ace Attorney, episode 5. Okay, so if you're playing the HD iOS port, examine the stepladder for one of the 5 stepladder arguments. What? Okay, whatever. Oh, okay. I've been wondering, what the heck is this? It has a big K on it. Of prosecutors. Huh? What's that? It's the King of Prosecutors trophy. King of Prosecutors? It's a great honor. They send that shield to the best prosecutor each year. What? So that K, that's... K stands for king? Yeah, you got a problem with that? I didn't design the thing. King of Prosecutors. Kind of like Employee of the Month. Only better. I think it's supposed to be like a smash shield. Like you smash the defense, pretty much. Because they're prosecutors. So. Yeah, I think that's intentional. Pretty sure. Oops. Oh, we can check it out. What does it say? Anything we can examine on here? Not really. Okay. So, in other words, you were the best of the best this year, huh? You can take that foolish grin elsewhere, right? I lost a day of work to receive that travesty. Huh? Why is that? I had to go to the police department ceremony to receive that broken shield. The police department? Yes, right next to the police station downtown. You've been there, correct? Where Detective Gumshoe works? Yeah. I was wondering something about your shield. Why is it broken? What does it matter? I've got more important things to worry about. Oh, right. He doesn't seem too concerned about his award, for better or for worse. Yesterday was a very busy day for the prosecutor's office. Maybe we should ask him more about yesterday? Could you tell me more about yesterday? The day of the murder? Yesterday was the annual cleaning day at the prosecutor's office. Cleaning day? Working with the police department, we sort and file all evidence for solved cases. We call it evidence transferal. Wiping your hands of old cases, in other words. Oh, and another thing. A ceremony was held at the police department. It was an annual review and awards for outstanding police officers and prosecutors. And that's when you got the shield? I was at the police department yesterday afternoon. I got back here at 5:12. That's very precise. People like myself and Mr. Edwards pride ourselves on our precision, Mr. Wright. No, I place little faith in my memory. The only thing I trust is solid evidence. This is the parking stop from the underground lot. The murder took place around 5:15. So, the murder happened right after you got back. What, right? I'd appreciate it if you direct that suspicious glare elsewhere. Excuse me, but is Mr. Edgeworth, anywhere on the premises? I'm Edgeworth. What is it? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got a report, sir. Report? What? Did you find new evidence in the case against Chief Prosecutor Sky? I don't like the way this conversation is going at all. Sky, sir. No, sir. No name of that kind, sir. Not in this report. This report, sir. I think I just heard Edward's lid blow. Mr. Edward's lid isn't on very tight, is it? I made it a clear request to the police department, did I not? I need to focus on the trial tomorrow, so don't bring me anything unrelated. Sir, sir! I'm just following orders, sir! They told me to bring this to you! I wasn't aware of the particulars of your arrangement with us, sir! Give me your name! Yes! Yes, sir! Meekins, sir! Officer Meekins! Thank you. Right. Officer Meekins, take your report and leave. I guess maybe we'll find out. And good luck with that raise next month. But sir, I didn't know. Poor guy. Looks like he was absent on the day they gave out brains and good luck. That's kind of a mean comment from Phoenix right there. Poor Meekins. Right. Yes, sir. He caught me off guard. As you can see, I'm busy. You may leave now. Let's do what he says, Mr. Wright. The victim was a detective from the same department as that patrolman just now. Go down to the police department and ask more there. Thanks. He seems to have finally calmed down at least. Alright, I guess we're going to the police department. Phew. We're finally here. Why would they put the detectives so far away from the prosecutor's office? That took almost 30 minutes by taxi, and traffic wasn't even that bad. This is my first time to the police department, actually. Hold on, what's that? It kind of looks like it, yeah. Disturbing! Why does it undulate like that? Oh wait, I know. This is the Blue Badger. Technically it's the Proto Badger, but details. They're trying to make him the police mascot. Wow, Mr. Wright, you know a lot about the police department. Still, he does seem familiar, somehow. Forget the Blue Badger. Who's that next to him? Well, it's the Blue Badger, but technically it's the Proto Badger. Because I think Bad Badger's in the second game, and then I remember from Trials and Tribulations, your playthrough of it, that Pink Badger and Blue Badger are in that game. So, someone appears to be dancing with the Blue Badger? Oh, it isn't? Oh, okay. Uh-oh, he noticed me. He sure is running over here fast.
Hey, pal, what are you doing here?
That's my line, Detective Gumshoe. Specifically, why were you dancing over there?
What? Well...
Well, at least he doesn't seem to be busy. This is our chance to get information.
Hey, I'll have you know I'm a very busy man, pal. I'll give you one word of advice, pal. You'd better not agree to defend the suspect in this case.
Why not?
Huh? Well, it's just that the chief prosecutor's confessed to the crime. She said she summoned the detective to the prosecutor's office and she killed him.
But what if she's not telling the truth?
Yes, well, no. Come on, pal. There's plenty of evidence against her.
But what if the evidence was faked?
Hey, pal, can I speak to you for a second?
Huh? Me?
Why is this little girl so peeved at me?
She's a relative of the suspect, Lana Sky's sister.
Whoa! The chief prosecutor's little sister?
Just please investigate this case carefully, okay? Scientifically.
Yes, sir! Oh, by the way, you might want to keep your voices down. You don't want to be overheard using words like faked.
Huh?
It's just, it's a sensitive issue with us these days.
So, what are you doing here, Detective Gumshoe?
Me? Oh, well, nothing really. They kicked me out of criminal affairs.
Detective Gumshoe? What did you do this time?
Hey, what do you mean this time?
Then, what happened? I know things are busy right now. I mean, with my sister's case and all. Probably because of the, rumors surrounding Miles Edgeworth and all that. Hold on, my chat box is like all stretched out and all funky. Let me... I don't know why it's doing that. It's like... it shouldn't be doing that. Whatever. It's only temporary anyway. It's literally just for this one stream. This is kind of like a quick fixer-upper job of what, my layout anyway, so... Anyway. I mean, with my sister's case and all...
It's true. We've never had a chief prosecutor murder anyone before. Only the highest ranked people are being let into criminals' affairs now. Lowest ranking guy in there is our chief of detectives. They're not letting any of us rank and file detectives in at all.
None of you? I know this is an important trial, but isn't that a little odd?
So anyway, I thought I'd spend the day getting the Badger Dance down pat.
Isn't there anything else you could be doing?
Chief of Police himself is directing this investigation, pal. And Officer Marshall was assigned to the underground parking lot.
Officer Marshall? Now that I think about it, Emma did seem to know that Marshall guy.
A patrolman in charge of a crime scene. It's unheard of, pal.
Goodman's ID. Let's see if he knows Goodman. Detective Gumshoe? What can you tell me about this?
Huh? Hey, pal, this is Detective's ID card. You can't just keep that. You have to turn that into the police. It's people like you that get me into so much trouble all the time.
Meeting Detective Gumshoe must drop his card a lot.
Let's see. Bruce Goodman. Goodman. Sounds familiar. Nah, my mistake.
But, don't you work with him in criminal affairs?
Whoa! Now I remember. Bruce Goodman. He's the victim.
That's what I thought. Can you tell us more, Detective Gumshoe? So, this ID card belonged to the victim?
He was a detective, like myself. Detective Bruce Goodman.
Don't you think it's strange? I mean, why would the victim's ID card be lying on the ground where we found it?
Well, Detective Goodman should have been at the police department yesterday. It was evidence transferal for a case he handled 2 years ago.
Evidence transferal? Mr. Edgeworth mentioned that too. But Detective Goodman was killed at the prosecutor's office.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to say this, but word is that Chief Prosecutor Sky called him out there, to the parking lot.
And Lana's confessing as much.
Hey, that's it! That's the King of Prosecutors award that Mr. Edgeworth got yesterday.
Were you at the awards ceremony, Detective Gumshoe?
Of course, pal. I got an award for diligence myself.
See, he's not very good at a lot of things, but he sure is persistent. Ah, congratulations. I was wondering, why is the award a shield? And why is it broken?
Oh, there's a reason. I'll tell you what it is later.
Apparently he's forgotten.
But I was proud of Mr. Edgeworth for winning that award. He even got naysayers in the prosecutors. Office.
Yeah, we've heard about the rumors.
Found in Mr. Edgeworth's car. Stabbed with Mr. Edgeworth's knife, huh? What would Chief Prosecutor Sky to do such a thing? Wait, I mean, sure, of course. Someone else really did it. Someone who must have a grudge against Mr. Edgeworth.
The car and the knife do seem a little too well organized to be a coincidence. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. What could have happened? We have to find out a little more about what's going on with Edgeworth. Anything else to say to Gumshoe? Oh, rumors outlaw. Okay.
He's in a tough spot again.
Again?
Well, it all started with the murder of that defense attorney, Hammett.
But Edgeworth was found innocent.
Listen, pal, there have always been rumors about Edgeworth. Forging evidence, making deals with witnesses. Nothing outright, but there were always whispered rumors. Ever since he was accused of murder, no one's whispering. They're practically shouting.
But there's no evidence against him.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth has always had unusually strong ties to the department higher-ups. It's only natural that people would be suspicious.
I had no idea he was under the gun.
Anyway, this latest case has started a new rumor. People say the only reason he took this case is because he's aiming for the chief prosecutor's position himself.
What?
But I know the truth, pal. Nobody wants to be the one who has to prosecute the chief prosecutor. As Edgeworth is biting the bullet on this one, he's doing this for all of us.
Alright, do we have anywhere else we can move? No? Okay, I guess we could present the parking stub?
Found Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Okay. Alright, let me see here. Oh, okay. I was wondering about that.
What? The Dancing Blue Badger? It's my masterpiece!
Aw, he made this himself? Okay, now I was like, what is this janky looking thing? But now knowing that Detective Gumshoe made this... Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yep. He did his best. You made this, Detective Gumshoe?
The chief threw together some designs and I just did my thing, pal.
Nice work.
It's battery powered, so it can go anywhere. There's no switch, so it just dances until the batteries die.
Poor Blue Badger. Fated to dance until he drops.
And that's all I know about that. I'm not officially on the case, you know.
Thank you. Why aren't you handling the case, Detective Gumshoe? We met the guy who is. What was his name? The guy in the parking lot.
That'd be Officer Marshall, who was appointed directly by the Chief of Police.
Officer Marshall? Is he some kind of Wild West sheriff or something?
No, Jake's Marshall's just a regular officer. From West LA.
For a moment there, I wasn't sure.
Look, pal, let me try to make things a little easier for you. Show him this and they'll let you examine the crime scene. Maybe.
I'll be surprised if this gets us anywhere.
Just act like you're supposed to be there, and nobody will look at you twice, pal.
Alright, let's see if this works. Looks like the investigation is still going. I have to be getting back to the shop. Sorry, looks like I'll be stuck in this pit till the sun sleeps. I'll see you in my dreams tonight then, baby. What's this? Oh, still here? Hello? The question marks for, the people talking always throws me off, because I'm not sure, because sometimes you know who it is. Like with the Edgeworth, it was obvious who was speaking, but sometimes you don't know, and then it's like, gosh darn it. Anyway. Why the surprised looks? Didn't I mention? I've got a boyfriend in the criminal affairs too. What happened to the security guard? Well, it's better than when it swaps them around, right? Hey, what's wrong, Bambina? You're looking like a doggy that lost its herd. Jake Marshall. Strange guy to put in charge of a crime scene. There's something I wanted to ask you. Scene of the crime. A cold grave for men who lost their dreams. And me, I watch over them as they sleep, dreaming of the desert's harsh judgment. He's asleep. Well, should we show this hopeless case something to catch his interest? There's something I wanted to ask you. Oh, okay. Same thing. Alright, let's see if he reacts at all to Gumshoe's letter of introduction. It actually turns out that Gumshoe has some prestige amongst, like, the other, like, officers of law, actually. I guess when he works on so many, like, high-profile cases, you know, and, like, is good friends, technically, with, Miles Edgeworth, the, like, one of the top prosecutors, you get a bit of clout. Plus, it's hard to dislike the guy. I bet it's not. Probably not. Considering that it's Marshall and he was directly appointed, I doubt it's the fact that Gumshoe is on our side that gets us in. Would you mind reading this for me? What's this? I warn you, fan letters to me go right into the spittoon. It's a letter of introduction from Detective Gumshoe. May we investigate? Gumshoe? Ah, that old cow dog. He's holding a birthday party or something. Huh? Look, where it should say letter of introduction, it says invitation. Ah, I think he just miswrote it. Great, Detective Gumshoe. I owe you one. No worries. This proves it's from Detective Gumshoe. Better than a blood test. Yeah, so I'd better let you in then. Thank you, Officer Marshall. Officer Marshall isn't a detective. He's a patrolman. That reminds me of something. That is odd. Isn't a crime scene supposed to be handled by a detective or higher? Well, folks, the clues are calling. Welcome to our gold strike. Be like the settler. Strike out for the lands unknown. Manifest destiny. Let's have a hootenanny. Note to self, police investigators are like settling land. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? I say I won't be needing this anymore. Detective Gumshoe's letter of introduction crumpled and discarded. Yeah. Alright, let's finally get a chance to look at the scene of the crime. Or the supposed scene of the crime. This looks like a cell phone. Scientific analysis would suggest this belonged to the victim. I can't think of anyone else it could belong to. What's so scientific about that? Should we check it out? Yeah, check it out. Right. Let's check it out. Alright, let's see here. What do we got? Man, what a boring strap. What's wrong with it? Everyone has different tastes, you know. Here, check out mine. It's a pink princess strap. These are hard to come by, you know. I see he's as popular as ever with the kids. The display is still on the redial button. Redial? Mr. Wright? Most phones keep a record of the calls you make and received. You just press the blue button to dial the last number you called. Convenient, isn't it? I'm surprised you didn't know about it. Sorry to disappoint you, but even I know about things like redial. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, you never know with people from your generation. Whatever. Let's check this phone out. Now, I wonder who the owner of this phone called last. Note to self. A defense attorney doesn't think first. He just presses the button. Hey! That song! I know that. Hey, what's going on over there? Ah, oh, sorry. I see you, partner. You pressed redial on that there phone, didn't you? Well, yeah. Whose phone is this, anyway? It was on the ground over there. Whose is it? That belongs to Chief Prosecutor Sky. What? It's my sister's? She apparently dropped it when she was taken into custody, right after the crime. Look, the last call was made right when the murder occurred. Looks like she was fixing to call someone. Except she only spoke for a few seconds, according to this. Who did she call? No idea. Sorry, partner. Now I got a question for you, partner. I heard a phone ring just now. One of these newfangled ringtunes. Oh, that? Oh, I'm sorry. That was my phone. What? Your phone? Yeah, it's kind of strange, but someone called me right as we picked up the other phone. A wrong number. I hope you're not lying. Hey, they shoot you for that in Texas, partner. Uh-oh, I've incited the wrath of the Lone Star Patrolman. Do you guys like westerns? Totally unrelated question to anything, but do you guys like watching westerns? I'll watch some. My dad's a big fan of them, so I watched a couple. You know, some of the more famous ones, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and all that. What's this? Looks like a note of some sort. Look, something's written on it. Yeah, the music's good. 675, 12-2. 675. No, 7S, my bad. I'm writing it down just in case. Just in case it comes up later. There's a name printed on the paper above that. Goodman. Maybe it fell out of pocket when he was killed. Well, so, what does it mean, Mr. Wright? How am I supposed to know? Note to self, for detective revisiting, go to Edgeworth, not Wright. Apparently. Yeah, apparently that's actually what happened. I'm sure Edgeworth wouldn't know what this means either. Isn't that what happened, Coil? I thought he was, pretending that that's what, like, that he just gotta, yeah, he lied to say that, like, he didn't get called there, right? Okay, that chat box is really bugging me. Hold on. Oh, it was Emma's? Oh, okay. Which makes more sense, actually. Not really. I don't think you're spoiling too much, to be honest. Sorry, I'm just fixing the text box here a minute. Or the chat box. It's been really bothering me seeing all the text stretched out like that. There, that should fix it. Okay. And then transition. Alright. Okay. Alright, so... Is there anything else to see here? This appears to be the car where the body was found. Looks like the lock on the trunk is busted. The crime took place in the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. The body was found in the trunk of my subordinate's car. Quite a luxury car. It just screams, I have money to burn. Yeah, prosecutors get the big bucks. Which is weird. Do you think people would pay more to get, make sure they don't go into jail? I have no idea. Okay. Yeah. Is it just me, or does it look a little crumpled? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. An oil drum. Looks like it's filled with water. It's heavy! I can't even budge it! The drum over here is on its side. Wait! I know! I'll hide in here and do a stakeout! I think you'll probably just get arrested. In fact, you may not even have to hide in the drum to get arrested. What? I'm not suspicious! Alright, what is next? Officer Marshall, could you tell us more about the victim? Good men always die young. Remember that, partner. Could you be a little more specific? Bruce Goodman. He was a detective, right? Well, well, aren't you a feisty doggy there now? Detective Goodman was stabbed here at 5:15. Smiling Madonna told me the tale. I think he means the witness, Miss Angel's star. One stab to the chest. Fine piece of work. This here's the autopsy report. Autopsy report added to the court record. I guess police enforcement are not good at just, like, not handing out evidence, specifically autopsy reports. Was my sister involved with the victim in any way? Funny you should mention that, Bambina. Chief Prosecutor Sky and Detective Goodman had nothing in common at all. Nothing in common? They apparently worked together on a case a few years back. So, there's no motive. Goodman wasn't a particularly gifted detective. There's one reason why I didn't do much. That's one reason I didn't do much work with the chief prosecutor. But my sister called the victim here on the day of the murder, right? Here to this parking lot? So it seems. Like calling an unarmed man to a shootout at high noon. Well, actually, probably more the fact that, like, if you are trying to sue somebody for money, then there's more money on the table rather than trying to stop yourself being sued for money. I don't mean any offense, but Officer Marshall, you're a patrolman, right? Not a detective. You calling me out? They shoot you for that in Texas. Huh? I was one of them fancy shoot detectives, till 2 years ago, to tell you the truth. Oh really? Now he tells me. But you're a patrolman now, so how can you be in charge of a crime scene? Nothing gets by you, does it, Bambina? So why are you in charge? No reason. We're just short on hands right now. I'm keeping an eye out on the meantime. That's odd, though. Detective Gumshoe was saying he had nothing to do. Nothing important, at least. He's nothing but a sad old cow dog that can't find his tail. Maybe it's because he runs with Ed Edgeworth, eh? Edgeworth? That cow dog's been kicked out of this cattle run by order of the chief of police. Just, you don't realize it yet. Detective Gumshoe? Kicked out of the investigation? I have a feeling that's just an excuse to make sure that Detective Gumshoe wasn't assigned to the case or something. So, there's no connection between Detective Goodman and my sister. That's correct, but there's a goldmine of evidence against her. And the prospector tomorrow is none other than Edgeworth himself. I'm afraid your sister's fate is decided, Bambina. Many condolences. Officer Marshall! Yeah, Bambina? How can you say that? You and my sister, you were... Is there something between this cop and her sister that I don't know about? I apologize, Bambina. Something must have gotten to me. Maybe it's that dry wind that's blowing through the prospector's office. Dry wind or ill wind? Someone's up to something here. But who? Suspicions about Mr. Edgeworth have been flying around for nearly 2 years now. Forged evidence, arranging testimonies, you name it. Forged evidence, arranging testimonies, you name it. He was unbeatable because he did whatever it took to win. Unbeatable, that is, until he met you. But rumors are just rumors, aren't they? These are prosecutors we're talking about. Evidence is everything to them. If you follow the rumors about Edgeworth to their source, you find one person. But they're on limits. Untouchable, you might say. One person? Who? Bambina. It's your sister, Chief Prospector Lana Sky. What? My sister? Edgeworth couldn't wrestle all of those cattle by himself. Some people load their guns with bullets, some people load them with deals. What, you're saying Edgeworth was making deals to win trials? Where there's gunshots, there's bound to be bullets. That's what the old-timers say. There's a big old secret hidden around here somewhere. Everyone knows it. Is that why Detective Gumshoe was taken off the case? Did they target him because he was closest to Edgeworth? So, well, how are we doing, Mr. Wright? I guess we got some clues. We have an autopsy report, a note from the victim, and a cell phone. Actually, let me check out the autopsy report, because I've not done that yet. Death due to loss of blood. 1 knife wound. Died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. That's a pretty big time frame. An hour and a half. That's a pretty big time frame. Okay, whatever. No, I can't. Okay, so name it to say blah, blah. Assessment. Wound was caused by a 12-centimeter knife. A single stab wound was found. Okay. Just double checking, because that'll probably eventually be important. So, do you think we'll be okay? Well, the only thing still bothering me is that Lana's confessing to the crime. She says she did it. No problem. I can guarantee that she's not the criminal. Oh, by the way, Emma? Yes? I know that song your phone plays when it rings. What? Do you guys recognize the song? I think Coyle probably knows what it is. It's a song from an earlier trial. Now, okay. Yep, Steel Samurai theme. And now the font size is way too small. That'll probably fix it. It's the Steel Samurai theme song, isn't it? That popular TV show for kids. Ah, nice. The phone that just rang wasn't mine. It was yours. At 5:18, just after the murder took place, your sister called you, didn't she, Emma? I'm sorry. Can you tell me what you talked about? She hung up right away. I see. A detective is murdered, and the suspect is the top prosecutor in the district. I've got a bad feeling about this. Like, maybe I still don't know everything that went on here. Probably not. We still have 2 more days of investigation, probably. To be continued. Oh my gosh, we're an hour and a half in, and we were only to the first day. Well, usually the first day is actually the longest. The first and the second days are longer, but usually if there's a 3rd day of investigation, it's not too long. Because by that point, you're pretty much done. I don't know how long this case is, but we're getting through it in this stream, so. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? Frankly, there's still a lot of gray areas. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Don't worry about me, no matter what the outcome. I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. It's a 2-day turnabout, yeah. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Well, actually, this is the only one in this game that's not called turnabout something, so. A defense attorney should never believe their client. Huh? The defendant is called to trial because they are suspected of wrongdoing. Never forget that. Miss Sky, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there is one decisive evidence between you and her. And that is, you're not a defense attorney. I believe it's almost time for the trial. 2-day rise, nice. Good luck, Mr. Wright. My first trial without a Fae helping me. No one's going to bail me out this time. I'll be alone in there. So I have to discover the truth all by myself. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole way. February 23rd, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Oh.
The court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky.
Now we finally get to the good part, the trial. The trial is always the best part, honestly. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Edgeworth. I haven't been in court since Edgeworth's trial. It's been a while now. I hope that personal feelings will not be a part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. Judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else.
Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky has committed an unpardonable crime. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's office lot. Wow, he's much more forceful in person. I suddenly feel like confessing to everything. However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There was a witness to her crime. A professional witness.
Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth.
The prosecution calls this first witness, Miss Angel Starr, to the stand. The cough-up queen.
Haven't I seen you somewhere?
You ordered the caviar lunch, right?
Oh, caviar! I've never eaten caviar before.
The judge is really wolfing it down. And for you, I have a fiesta bowl. Thanks. Will the witness state her name and profession? Ah, and you, sir. Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? It is too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. That's true, it is only 10 a.m. So, it's 2 hours till lunch, guys. Come on. Well, Your Honor, how does it taste?
So this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty it hurts. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca.
What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? Name, profession, now! Me? The name is Angel Star. Don't go forgetting it. I find myself running Lunchland these days. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edward? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us.
The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating.
Hurry it up!
Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime.
Your Honor, as Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional.
Oh? What exactly does that mean?
Until 2 years ago, Miss Angel Star was a special investigator with the police. She was a first-rate homicide detective. What? Mr. Star was a detective?
Ah! Ha! I know who you are! Cough up!
Cough up Queen Angel Star, Your Honor. Long time no see.
Very well. You may continue with the description, Miss Star.
Just who is this lady? If I may have the court's attention over here. The parking lot at the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. A block is for the prosecution office personnel. B block is for visitors and clients. A chain divider separates the 2 blocks. I suppose that's to keep
visitors from taking up prosecutor spaces. Yes.
The crime took place by a car in the back of A block, in the car's trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with the knife and went to drive the body out. Unfortunately for her, there was a witness. An arrest was made on the spot.
And who was this valiant witness?
Why, it was me, Your Honor. Floor plans added to the court record.
Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime?
Of course, Your Honor. Immediately after that, I apprehended the chief prosecutor.
It seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Well, Mr. Wright?
I can't agree on principle, Your Honor. It seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Shall I proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining?
If you can, then give them your worst, Miss Star.
Wait, are they talking about me? Somehow, I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend, when I sensed something. Perhaps it was my finely honed detective instincts working. Then, through a wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Wait. Checking autopsy report. Shoot, it doesn't say if he was stabbed in the back or not. I would guess so. If it doesn't say, then it's probably not an issue. Okay. Continue.
Bringing a lunchbox to your boyfriend. How touching.
As you can see, there's no room for doubt.
The key point of your testimony seems to be nothing other than the point of the knife which you saw being stabbed in Detective Goodman.
So, how does it feel to be utterly crushed? I'm still thinking about that. It's merely a flesh wound, right?
'Tis only a flesh wound.
No, it's not. Your arm has been cut off.
Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness.
Somehow, I knew okay. No it isn't. Yes it is. It's there on... What's that on the ground? It's been a while since I've seen Monty Python, but I do remember that scene fairly well. That and the knights who say, neat! I've had worse. Liar! And then he just like chops off his other arm, and then he starts kicking him, and then he chops off the legs, and he's like, "How about a draw? How about we call it a draw?" Okay. That's interesting. Will it work if I say hold it? No, okay. By garish car, you mean Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Incidentally, the knife with the watch with which the victim was stabbed was also Mr. Edgeworth's, wasn't it? Indeed, it was.
What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, are you sure it was the defendant?
I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I am certain it was her. If she's telling the truth, we're doomed. Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always complain. We're dealing with Edgeworth here. I need better material before I start pressing this.
Can you tell us what the suspect was doing when you saw her?
Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying. Well, I'd say the blade was about 10 centimeters long. Court record, 12 centimeter knife, so she's not off too far. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? It is your knife, after all. Ahem. Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are, by nature, well versed in the locations of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad surprise set. You can't testify to her ability to kill an egg? I mean, a person? Perhaps a chicken salad set would have been a better metaphor. So, the defendant was holding a knife. What then? Tell the court why you didn't try to stop this crime. You did see her raise the knife to strike, no?
The defense has a point.
Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was too late. Too late? Yes. The next moment, the chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon. I see. It's only a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. We can make it. You said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, Miss Starr's testimony is flawless. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? Is my sister guilty? Let's just keep our heads cool and press the witness a bit, shall we? For some reason, having her panicking next to me makes me calmer. Don't smile like that. How did you know? I respect the prosecutors' basic abhorrence of crime. Yet their methods are ugly and twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. The lunch lady's uninformed opinion is duly noted. Given that they are used to erasing inconvenient evidence at their whim. Killing off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. Miss Starr, do you have something personal against prosecutors? I felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'd still be one. Laid off? She was fired. To me, prosecutors are nothing more than worms. That said, I am a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless.
Very well. You may continue, Miss Starr.
This boyfriend, he's the detective? Not that boyfriend, the security guard.
That boyfriend? You have several?
Yes, this boyfriend, that boyfriend, and the other boyfriend. Care to join? The yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants.
I'll stick with the lunch, thanks.
Note to self, the judge had to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot, in A block. It's up on the second level, so you can see everything from there. That would be the room with the security sign. Incidentally, did you bring your lunchboxes by car? Since I'm a visitor now, I parked in B block. So, she was in B block when she witnessed the crime? Wait, hold on. That seems... important. Nope. Let's see. Let me see that floor plans again. Okay, so she was parked here. Okay, so if she said she's in the security room, then she couldn't have seen the crime. But it makes sense if she was parked in the B parking lot. Okay. Still, there seems something off about her testimony, like for where she's placed. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up. Just so we keep moving along. So okay. Like your car, you mean? Okay. Witness, in your testimony you clearly state the following. Prosecutors are nothing more than worms. Ergo, you're a biased witness. You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, rookie. Huh? Rookie? Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me. I'll fry you like a fritter, crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
That was inspiring.
I believe I've heard that tagline elsewhere. You could cry plagiarism. I may be relegated to the lowly post of lunch lady, but my instincts are honed. A photograph. You took this? The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over, and snap, I took a picture. In fact, one of my lunchboxes is rigged with a camera. I suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck. This is my first time seeing this photograph. You think I'd show it to you, a prosecutor? Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs.
Well, this is most certainly the defendant.
Oh, that is unmistakably Lana Sky. So, what was the defendant doing at the time? Hold on. That directly contradicts the photo you just gave us. She's not holding any knife in that photo. And you witnessed this? You saw Miss Sky stab the victim with a knife. As I've already said, yes. I swear down my finest salmon swirl lunch.
I'm sure that is a fine lunch.
But isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took at the very moment of the crime, is it not? Then why is Miss Sky not holding a knife?
Ahem. Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts?
Objection. Let's be a little more careful with our evidence, shall we? If it is you that needs to be more careful, Mr. Wright.
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
This photograph was not taken the moment before the stabbing. This was taken the moment after the stabbing. How can you tell that? Blood splatter. Huh? see the dark crimson stain on the chief prosecutor's coat? It's a black and white photograph.
Ah, yes, it's hard to tell, but this could be blood.
Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem, except you. Mr. Wright, are you just gonna sit there and take that kind of abuse? You got a better idea? I think we object. Okay, so... Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Namely, that she took the picture the moment she witnessed a crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies. That's it? If you run out of lunch, you order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understood it, but good advice. I didn't have time to stop her. Prosecutor Sky was cold, calculating, like a robot. She killed without pain or remorse. It was a premeditated murder. Premeditated? How do you know? Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in that photograph.
Well, are those gloves?
Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? If it was not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves.
Those gloves do seem to tell a tale of premeditation.
Premeditated murder. A serious offense.
Witness, add this to your testimony.
The murder was planned. The rubber gloves prove it. Really? Because for a planned murder, she seems to have just done it wherever. Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell lunchboxes for a living, you know. That's a knife. The knife. The knife that was used in Mr. Edwards' trunk. Indeed, it is my knife. What was this case? The bloody murder weapon, a red car, all belonging to the prosecutor there? The defendant is the chief prosecutor for the district, right? Mommy, are prosecutors bad people? The defense has a request. We ask the witness to provide an accurate testimony. What's that, rookie? In your testimony, you stated that Lana Sky planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves.
Seems like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning.
However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing? The murder weapon. Oh. This knife just happened to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, you don't forget the weapon. What?
Order, order, order!
Great, now the tide is turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister is as good as free. Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. What? I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a trifling detail. But this shoots a hole in the whole premeditated theory. Bah! The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Sky, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution needs to prove. Nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If she wasn't, why would she have been wearing...
I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again.
Witness, please tell us what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of detection are not to be underestimated. Really now. Angel's deduction. Lana Sky intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure the chief prosecutor held a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again.
The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound a lot like premeditation, doesn't it?
So, if I order pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy?
In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Well, this one's a lot more obvious. Yeah, okay. No, she didn't. Uh-huh. Except for the fact that he was only stabbed once. Yeah, that's really obviously not true. You say she stabbed him again and again, but you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Star.
What do you mean?
I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that death was due to a loss of blood from one stab wound.
You're right. Good show, Mr. Edgeworth.
What a hunk! He's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed?
Well, witness.
You got the crime scene set, right?
Oh, thanks.
I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now I realize that such mistakes are possible. So, you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered blood from the victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice.
Then tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify.
Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. That probably contradicts some evidence we have, doesn't it? She's not wearing a muffler. Not in the photo you presented. Yeah, she's not wearing a muffler. What are you doing? This lady had a solid testimony at first, and then she just went down a rabbit hole. The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. And you've provided it, and you've proved it yourself with this photograph. Huh? But that can't be. Only a true professional would be so clueless. I'm sure you'll make a good lunch lady. Have no fear.
Harsh words, but good.
In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails. What was my objection? Chopped liver? But it was there. A scarf. No, not that. But something red. Really. Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude. Now back to business. What?
Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that.
Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. I think it's just supposed to be a joke that, like, Edgeworth keeps pointing out things wrong in her testimony and everybody's giving him all the credit. And we're over here being like, I said it first! Why is he getting all the credit? The most important part, the part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. She certainly hates him quite a bit. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and then arrested her on the spot. Ah yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile.
You're quite determined about this scarf, aren't you?
I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. That's me, Angel Star. That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is kind of snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Attorney Wright gets bitten by snake. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. Oil drum? Hard to imagine. Yeah, she does. Oh, she's beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr! What?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will.
What was that? A leopard woman? Rawr? What? After the murder... Okay. So, that doesn't seem right. So let me look at these floor plans again a minute. Why would she... Yeah, there would be no point in trying to run up to a partition to her side. Yeah. I'm gonna press her on that. That seems suspicious. So, where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there, about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? You say quickly? Were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. Maybe I should press her for more details? Always press harder. Always. Well, not always, but most of the time, yes. I'd like to see this on the floor plans, just to be safe. The Lunchland car was... She was a visitor, thus she was parked in B block. So, you witnessed the murder from here?
That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes.
Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right.
But there was a chain link fence in front of you?
I went over it, of course.
Amazing! The cough-up queen, lunch lady athlete, indeed.
It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So, she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high, too. How come Miss Sky didn't get away? She mentioned the muffler? What exactly did she say? If I remember exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler.
Just want that one word?
So, what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else? Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone? You mean her cell phone? By phone, you mean this cell phone discovered at this crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately? My memory. It's like a salmon, heading upstream, you see.
No, the court doesn't see, Miss Starr.
The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall.
On the wall?
That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency.
Excuse me.
That's right, near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently, it was out of order.
And so she used her cell phone?
Indeed. The emergency phone was out of order that day.
Good witnessing, witness.
Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying?
You should, of course, add this to your testimony.
Things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. Cell phone updated in the court record. Okay, so, given that that just came up, I have a feeling the word muffler was overheard during a call made to Emma at 5:18. Okay. She made to escape. Can you be more specific? She brushed aside my hand and ran. It was a terrible sight to see, like a dollop of lard on a pâté of foie gras. Huh? I hope I pronounced that right. She even kicked over an oil drum at me. An oil drum?
There was an oil drum lying on its side at the scene of the crime.
But it's strange. Foie gras, yeah.
What's that?
If she wanted to escape, why didn't she run the other way?
The other... Ah! The car entrance.
That's right. It doesn't make any sense that she wouldn't run from behind the partition to the oil drums. Excellent! More mysteries. I wish we could solve a few before finding more, though. So Miss Sky tried to run? I'm sorry my sister is so suspicious, Mr. Wright. Not as sorry as I am. But she didn't do it. You have to believe me. Oh, gotcha. She couldn't have seen her using the cell phone because the wall was in the way. I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Sky. The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up. Ahem. Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't have possibly seen Miss Sky making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the backside of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it.
Order! Order! What is the meaning of this?
It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question? Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counterattack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about where she saw it. She tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What's the significant about that fact? Nothing. It would be pointless for her to lie about it.
Pointless to lie. I see.
The witness did actually see Miss Sky using the emergency phone. In other words, Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. Different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it.
Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime?
All the testimony we've heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Starr witnessed this crime was here, the security room. As what I'm guessing. This is the only place where she could have been.
The security guard room?
Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It's built on the second level, so you can see the entire lot.
She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone.
Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in the A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime in the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room. Yes? Well, Miss Starr, how many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. My, how the turn that's... What is it? Mine... My, how the... Tables... My, how the turntables, yes. Today a man has got the better of Angel Starr.
Order! Order! Witness! What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better.
I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. The guilty? Is she talking about Miss Sky? Mr. Wright, does this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Star lie? It doesn't make any sense. Huh? She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. My, how the tables turned. I know. I know the original thing is my, how the tables have turned. But the meme is my, how the turn the tables. It wouldn't change anything. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed that victim. The truth still stands. Objection! It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without good reason.
So, tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright.
Huh? But me?
Who else?
Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied about it and said she saw it from the B block. Must make a vital difference. What? What would change? The angle of view to the crime. Because, how did she get that photo then? Because, yeah. Anyway. Why, the angle at which she saw the crime occur would change.
The angle? What do you mean?
Well, the security guard station is on the second floor, and, she would have sort of a more 3D view of the crime.
And this is important. Why?
What?
Perhaps you'd like to reconsider, Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Alright, I guess it wasn't... It should be, though, because how did she get that photo otherwise, then? Whatever. Okay, so, if it wasn't the angle of view to the crime, then it was probably the distance to the crime. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime, because that was the other thing that she kept saying, that she was like 30 meters away, and she seemed a bit nervous when we were placing her on the map, when we were recreating the scene. So I'm guessing it's that. My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. Objection! What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky?
Well, witness?
You... Yes? You ordered the squid wheels, right? The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing a PBJ lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend.
Boysenberry for the boyfriend.
He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed a crime from the glass-walled station. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running toward the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. Wow, that's a lot longer than she had to get all the way over there then there was a lot more time between what she thinks she saw and everything. Okay. That's why I had to go through the visitors parking in the B block.
That's quite a detour.
That's how she got the photo. Okay. It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime.
5 minutes? This changes things considerably.
But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork.
You have a point. And the spork is a wonderful invention.
Would you like another caviar lunch?
Absolutely.
Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, you have to do something. Do I have any evidence to stop this? Yeah, I guess. Have to, right? 5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You can make pasta in that amount of time, if you like it al dente. I've got lunchboxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie. A 5-minute blank. Isn't that just strange? Strange. If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor?
Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Hey! Don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone.
But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Sky dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Yeah!
Well then, it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. She had a grudge against the defendant, and there's a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go?
Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it! We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close.
I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned.
Hold it! I knew it. She's gonna say something else. Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist off on me. I prefer not to take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence.
What was that?
Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes?
My apologies. We have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr.
Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox?
Woohoo! A triple-decker! Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony.
The judge is a simple man.
Let's hear about this decisive evidence.
Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she going to pull out of her lunchbox this time? I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other was the defendant, Miss Lana Sky's blood. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. Wait, no, that just raises so many more questions.
What? There was blood found on that shoe?
Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple, as I've already said. I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. I had lunch earlier, but I'm probably gonna end up playing through supper time. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. Wow, what a player. Like, her boyfriend count just went up by 3. She's at, like, what, like 9? I mean, you can eat lunch for dinner. I've eaten breakfast for dinner so many times. In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You should know the 2 rules of evidence law, Miss Starr. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, the shoe is illegal evidence. At least, for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edward sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, the shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edwards is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study evidence law. Really?
The prosecution complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. Well, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness.
Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged.
Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Okay, that just raises so many questions. Like, wait, did she get stabbed? She said something about getting cut with a knife when she cut him, but that doesn't make any sense. Furthermore, there would have been blood on that hand, right? Okay. Okay, let's just start pressing her on things. And you found the shoe at the scene of the crime? I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive. So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. This shoe was my secret weapon if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen. I'm happy for you and your lunchbox bag, really.
In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of a crime. Now tell us what you did next.
I don't think so. She does seem to have a lot of boyfriends in the, police department. So, you brought it to the forensics department. If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensic expert. And she got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective.
The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it.
Makes sense. After all, a man was stabbed here. And the blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman? As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. Wait, hold on. That white shoe, that seems more like something Mr. Goodman would wear. Let me check that photograph again. Hello. Those aren't her shoes. That's his shoe. What the heck? I can't let this evidence go through without a fight. You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some like your client. She's in enough hot water to make a whole batch of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? A problem? This is critical. What's wrong with this victim's shoe? There's a problem here. If I'm not imagining things, I'd say there's one critical problem with this evidence. A clear contradiction. That gleam in your eyes. You're still young, rookie. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now. But you couldn't take the heat, could you?
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? Show us the problem with the evidence.
Oh. Are we examining it? I didn't look at it. Oh! Hale, what's with the blood on the bottom? I wonder if you noticed. There's blood on the bottom of this shoe. Don't mess with me, rookie. Or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe.
Indeed. There is quite a bit of blood at the bottom of the shoe.
It makes sense. The victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about the about blood on the bottom of his shoe? Maybe the photo? No. No, wait, yes, okay. The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't there any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? Aha! As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. If there were bloody prints, they would have been found. We checked the scene and found nothing of the sort.
Order! 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 Well, witness?
What? Huh? Great going, Mr. Wright. But it's true that the lack of the footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh,
That's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint.
think, Mr. Wright, think. Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? I see. Now I get it. Get what? No, that wasn't her shoe. That was the victim's shoe. I think that wasn't the problem, actually. Looking back at it, no, I think she said that it was the victim's shoe. Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There is one vital hint to the truth in her testimony.
What are you talking about?
Think back when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, picked over an oil drum. Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. I thought that was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that, I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory.
Witness! Well? Was the oil drum empty? See?
The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? Still don't get it, Mr. Wright. Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason?
Aha! You don't mean...
Yes, the suspect knocked over that oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the blood stains that would become evidence against her. What?
That ties up things quite nicely. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoe tie her quite clearly to the murder. Then, after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs.
Why, that's a prosecutor's specialty. Erasing evidence. That reminds me, Miss Guy's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she'd cut herself when she stabbed him? So, my sister's blood on that shoe, that's when it happened?
Well, I see no reason to prolong this trial.
Mr. Wright, do something, please. What? What can I do? Your sister has confessed to the crime, and she tried to conceal it. But... Enough. There is no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor.
Very well.
But Angel Star is on the prosecution side. She could have been lying about the water.
This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky.
Little girl, what did you just say? Huh? Me? Did you say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side? Well, yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Well, I thought you'd had your fill, but here you are demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox. A lunchbox called evidence.
Oh, wait! Witness, don't tell me you have something else.
You've reached your verdict, Your Honor. Any further comments will be held in contempt of court. Your threats don't scare the cough-up queen. Look at this.
A photograph?
I had this just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim.
I see no room for error in this evidence.
Mr. Wright, wait! Look at that asphalt in this photo. Yeah, pretty much. Just to prove that she wasn't on the prosecution's side, I guess. Hey, it's clearly wet.
Erasing the last trace of doubt from the court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. I'm sorry, Mia. Right. Wet or not, don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Huh? Get yourself up off the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up. Not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence. Except for one character.
Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good.
Have we gotten to that character yet, or? Your Honor, wait! Have we gotten to the character you're talking about?
What is with you? What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can it wait?
No, it can't. Then it'll be too late. Look at this photograph, the last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, right? Are you saying that there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah, I'll think later. Wait, let me just check what shoe that was. So it was definitely the right shoe. Okay. What was that? Do we have that photo she just gave to the court? No, we don't. Okay. Yeah, there's a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this.
I suppose since we come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright.
Show the court the problem in this photograph. What is the problem here? There's the knife. What's that coming out of the muffler? Is it just me, or is there, like, something coming out of the muffler there? Stab wound. That. Okay. That's what's the problem here. The problem in this photograph is here.
What's this?
What's this? I guess, like, if I'm stuck, but usually if I'm really stuck, I'll just look it up on the wiki. For right now anyway, I just want to get through this case. Don't tell me everything, let me try and figure it out, and then if I ask, then I allow it, yeah. Pretty much. Like, for this, I'm trying to get through it as fast as possible, because I want to get this all done in one go, so, yeah. Anyway. There's something poking out of the car's muffler.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth.
Your Honor?
You just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph.
Really? Is it longer than the last one? Is it longer than episode 4? A muffler is also part of a car, is a part on a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe.
I see, and I see.
How many days is it? It can't be more than 3 days. We're not even at 3 hours yet, so it's a bit longer than that. Wow. Yeah, that was a long case. We're not even at 3 hours yet. I'm not gonna worry about it until then, and then we'll see how far we are.
What's that suspicious-looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler?
So what if there's something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to this case. You said as much in your testimony. What?
Let us hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth in the muffler is related to this case.
Shoot. Is it because of this? Oh, it's because of the, phone call. Miss Starr, recall your testimony for the court. Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Muffler. Yeah. Could it be the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is a vital evidence. Oh. Whoa!
Well, it seems we will have to suspend the proceedings.
Suspend?
I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected it at once and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed?
I suppose so. Phew. That was close. But we made it. At least for now.
The court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all.
He's still hungry? To be continued. So is it 2 or 3 days? Do you guys know? I mean, I'll go for 5 hours if that's what it takes to finish this out today, because I really want to get back to Fossil Fighters tomorrow. 3, I think? Okay. It's probably about as long as the other one. It goes to 4th, okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be a longer case. Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Are trials always like this with you? Like, you're swimming up from the bottom of a lake, about to reach the surface. Oh. Okay. So yeah, we might not be able to do it in 1 day. That sucks. Let's see where we are at the end of 3 hours. But no matter how hard you paddle, you never seem to get there. Pretty much. Except today, we're swimming in quicksand. So what happened to your sister, anyway? Apparently, she got called off to the judge's chambers. Probably something to do with that piece of cloth. So, this is where we turn this trial around, right? Our only weapon, a tiny, insignificant piece of cloth. I'm the one who's starting to feel tiny and insignificant, to tell the truth. Hola, partner! Oh,
Hola, partner. They say you show a red cloth to a bull, it'll fire up his temper. That's what they told me when I was a youngin', at least.
Officer Marshall. Actually, it's not the fact that it's red, it's the movement of the cloth, actually. That's, ticks bulls off for some reason. Officer Marshall!
Thought I'd come and take a look-see at how the trial's going. Looks like I'm late. They've got the place locked down tighter than a fort in enemy territory.
What is going on over there, anyway? All the police I've seen these last 2 days have been really on edge.
Don't you get enough on your plate without worrying about other people? Don't you got enough on your plate without worrying about other people, compadre? You could be worrying about the chief prosecutor's taste in mufflers, for example.
Officer Marshall? The whole muffler thing didn't have anything to do with scarves. She wasn't even wearing a scarf.
You don't say. Now don't that just beat all? I've seen the red breeze blow at her slender neck a many a time. I saw it that day, too. She was wearing a red muffler.
What?
At the award ceremony that afternoon. Edward's seen it too, I reckon.
What does that mean? In the photograph taken at the crime scene, she wasn't wearing a scarf. So, Miss Star wasn't mistaken.
Well, it's about time. Remember, partner, sometimes you gotta grab the bull by the horns. And sometimes you just gotta let that bull go where it will. Time will tell.
Ugh, I have a bad feeling about this. So, what are we swimming in now, Mr. Wright?
If it's steak sauce, I can hook you up with some fine ribs. Ooh-wee.
I don't think it's steak sauce. Something tells me it's not steak sauce. Anyway. Yeah, man, I really wanted to finish this today, but from what it sounds like you guys are saying, we should probably split this into 2 streams. Whatever. We're not at 3 yet, so.
I'd like to resume.
What's up? The judge keeps looking over at the prosecution. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Is something wrong, Mr. Edgeworth? Your face is blue, your lips are purple, you're sweating bullets. That furrowed brow, those grinding teeth, those watery eyes. What's more, your eyes are unfocused, and you're doubled over. Your back is bent.
It can't be. This can't happen. I wonder what happened to Mr. Edgeworth.
Well then, I believe it's time we continued on with this trial. During our recess, I had requested that the prosecution conduct an investigation.
This is unacceptable.
It seems our prosecutor is quite beside himself.
Excuse me. Knock knock.
Who's there?
What? What's with this guy? A strange stuffy aura seems to be filling the courtroom. Hey, the temperature rose 5.7 degrees when that man came in. Who on earth is he?
Ah, it's you.
What? He's just blinking.
Oh, sorry I'm late. Oh, gee, the roads are packed. It's just me. Long time no see. Hey, Audrey, how you been? Swim much these days? Oh, hello. No, I've been busy. I've been so busy. Busy smizzy, Audrey, my boy. You have to make time to relax. Yes, indeed.
Hudgy seems to be his nickname for the judge? I'm afraid you're right. Very afraid. Sorry, but who are you?
Ah, so you're Righto, the attorney. I've heard good things about you, son.
The thanks.
So sorry about a little worthy giving you all that trouble, eh? You know, we should all go swimming together sometime. Jolly.
Little worthy?
Mr. Wright, you don't know the district chief of police?
Chief of police?
He's the top-ranking police officer in the entire district. Name's Kent. Damn it, Kent. Pleased to meet you, everyone. So, to what do we owe this honor today? It's been over 2 years since you last came into this courtroom, hasn't it?
Well, it's worthy here. Look at the poor fellow. I just thought I'd help out by bringing this. Hey, that's my sister's muffler. So Miss Star wasn't just seeing things. the crime occurred, this guy really was wearing that muffler.
But to think that it was stuffed into the exhaust pipe. Our little worthy's car, no less.
Hey, Vin. How's it going?
It's really quite embarrassing, even for us. What's this? It's what you'd call a switchblade knife. Quite perplexing, this.
Chief, what kind of outfit are you running?
Mr. Edgeworth.
How could they miss such a vital piece of evidence? If your investigators are this lax, how do you expect us to do our job?
Now, wait a minute, Worthy.
I've no desire to hear your excuses.
I'm telling you to wait. Or didn't you hear me? Have a look at this document, where it says person in charge of investigation. There's no mistaking that signature. Miles Edgeworth.
That's no fair. That's no fair. The day of the crime, I had...
Your head in the clouds because you got that award. I know how you feel. But you're the person in charge. I'll expect a written apology.
What? Are you serious?
Don't be too upset. We'll find a way to clean up this mess that you made.
This is the first time I've seen Mr. Edgeworth at a loss for words.
This major blunder is unlike you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Ah.
According to substance, new evidence. But I'd like to ask this defense a favor first.
Yes?
Just to be sure, I'd like to take a look at the blade of this knife.
The blade, Your Honor. Well, I don't see why not.
Could you open it for me, I wonder?
Yes, well, I think all you have to do is push that switch and...
If I cut my finger, Mr. Wright, I won't be able to pound my gavel anymore.
Yeah, but if I cut my finger, I wouldn't be able to point it at people anymore. Come on, just hurry up and open it. Alright, whatever. Something's odd. What's that stain? Can we not check? Oh, it's got a tag on it. There's a small tag on this knife. It seems to say SL92. What does that mean? Well, I've heard something similar. DL6 of DL6 incident fame. Can't let those precious fingers get hurt. Those precious pointing fingers. But it's strange. Huh? What is? I'm not certain, but I get the feeling I've seen this somewhere before. Letters like this, or at least letters that looked a lot like this, somehow. Yeah, I had a feeling. There's something with this case that happened 2 years ago. Anyway, let's open the switchblade. Wah! Don't scare me like that. I'm the one who's scared. Look at this knife blade. The tip is broken off. And this dark red stain. Blood? Switchblade knife added to court record. This does not excuse the actions of the police department. I would like to hear an explanation from the chief of police himself.
I'm terribly sorry, but could I ask you to testify for us? About the split between the prosecutors and the police, and this knife. Sure thing. Not a problem. Not even a little one, really. This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Unless there's evidence to prove the connection between this knife and Goodman. That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. A detective was killed at the police department. See? What a mess. The time of the crime? 5:15. Scary coincidence, eh? It's not officially linked to this your case, but so I can't talk much about it.
There was a murder at the police department? A detective?
That's hush-hush information, Udgy. We haven't exactly announced it yet.
Wait a second. You said 5:15. That's the exact time that Detective Goodman was killed at the prosecutor's office.
Order! Order! Order!
Anyway,
we at the department were all flustered, as you might well assume.
We're in the middle of a top secret investigation. Don't tell anyone, okay? I think we understand the police department situation. Well, Mr. Wright? 2 detectives killed at the same time in 2 different places. The chances of that are really slim, scientifically speaking, of course. I'd like to exercise my right to cross-examine the witness.
Very well. However, keep your questions focused on the case at hand.
This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Excuse me? Special? Mm-hmm. Hard to come by that particular knife anywhere else. Might that be special thing be this little tag? Oh, sorry, Righto, but I can't say that now. Not that. We've established that the knife in Goodman's chest was this knife. Now, why was there another knife at the scene of the crime?
That's quite a mystery.
And like a mystery, it's wrapped in something. A muffler.
Unless there's evidence, okay.
There is, isn't there? He worked on that case. This knife was found on the scene of our crime. I think that makes it connected to the case, don't you? See, there's a lot of things that go on at the department I can't explain. It's delicate, okay? Sorry, Righto. Maybe there's something about this knife? The knife that will give us a clue. Let's examine that knife while we can, Righto. Evidence that links this knife to Detective Goodman. I think perhaps the pieces are falling into place. I should try presenting the piece of evidence that's had me stumped all this time. So, how are things down at the department? Okay. So, parking stub, no. Goodman's ID, no. Oh, the victim's note. 675. What was that on the tag? Let me examine that again. What does it say on the tag? There's a small tag on the knife. It says SL92. Okay, never mind. What's that supposed to be? I'm not sure, but it reminds me of a similar code. DL6. Maybe it's a case number? That's weird. What? I don't remember where, but I think I've seen this something like this before. Okay, this is something we've already seen. Maybe I should check the court record again. No. No. Where is the thing? Alright, let me... Ah. I see. It was the note. It's just that, the note is upside down. Yeah. Wait a second.
Ah! At last! An honest-to-goodness objection!
This knife. This has to have something to do with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? An honest-to-goodness, what do you mean from the judge? This is great!
Look at the tag on this knife. It reads SL92.
Hey, this is important. Why?
Over here, we also have a memo that was on the body of the victim. So, it's not 1220, it's 221 then, isn't it?
What's this? T minus 77S? 212, or 12-2.
Your Honor? It's upside down.
Upside.
The printed name on the memo makes it look like it's right side up. But turn around and what do you get? 221 SL9.
Oh, aha!
When he wrote this note, he was holding the paper upside down.
SL9.
That's the same thing that's written on the knife's tag. Order! Order! Well, Chief? Ah, well. I guess the cat's out of the bag. You win, Righto! I win? What game is this guy playing? Good question. There's definitely something off with this guy. This knife was evidence in the case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. Let's press on that. So this knife was stolen? Yes, but on the day of the murder. It was evidence, you say? Was it in fact a murder weapon? Nice, nice, nice! Good show, Little Worthy. It was a murder weapon as it happens. It was evidence from a case long since solved. So this knife was stolen on the day of the murder. And it was found in the exhaust pipe of Everworth's car. Hard to think there isn't a connection there. That was a bad day for the department. On the same day that a detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective was killed at the police department? That's a fact! Surprising, isn't it, Udgy? I'm at a loss for words. And the perpetrator? Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested him, in fact. Just arrested? That was quick. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Maybe you could help, Wright? I suppose I could help, if you help me by giving me data on your case. Oh, good one! This gets sharp. Okay, here's the deal. I'll tell you one thing, and one thing only. Where was the victim found? How was the victim killed? Well, we know they got stabbed, probably. We know when they died. So I guess the only thing left is, where was the victim found? So tell me, where was the victim found? Well, I can't speak on where the corpse was found, but I can say the crime took place in the evidence room at the police department. The evidence room? Well, wait a second. I have heard of that. The evidence room? Didn't you mention that in his testimony just now? The knife was evidence in a case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. There's the connection between the two cases. You seem happy, Mr. Wright. Happy? We just got handed our ticket to go to town on this case. With the link between the two cases established, we finally have some leverage. Now we can get Gant to testify about the details. Oh shoot, we messed up. Okay. Or I messed up, rather. Okay. Okay. I just have to press on a later one. And that knife, what was it doing there? I'd better check this knife out. Okay, oh shoot, okay. Alright. Whoops. I keep doing that. I'm trying to get to the last one, but for some reason it shows an arrow on the last one too. Okay. Chief, the defense's position is simply this. The connection between these two cases has already been proven. You don't say! Well, out with it, Righto. What's your connection? Yes, out with it, Mr. Wright. The connection is a place, mentioned in the testimony we just heard. The knife found in the lot was stolen from the police department's evidence room. Not to mention, the victim had written down the numbers on the knife's evidence tag. And we also know that the detective murdered at the police department was killed in that very same evidence room.
Indeed. There do seem to be too many connections for it to be a coincidence. You two make a good pair. It took my men 2 days to find out what you do to this right here.
Chief, I request that you release your information on the victim at the police department.
See, that's the tricky part. It hasn't been announced at all.
Can we get that information unofficially?
Sure, why not? It's unofficial after all.
What? Really? Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed?
I'll cooperate, but I can't reveal the name of the victim at the department, okay?
Yeah, he is. There's something seriously off with this guy. I have a feeling he's going to have more to do with this than he's letting on. Okay, if you're going to tell us a little, why not tell us everything?
Ah, well, case information is sticky stuff. You have to do everything properly.
Oh well. I guess I might as well try to get what I can out of him. Victim's division, the victim's ID number, or the victim's gender. What? The victim's division, I guess. Okay, well, what division was the victim stationed in?
Oh, you want to know that, do you? Do you? Criminal Affairs, Division 1. Detectives are responsible for homicide cases.
Homicide? That would be the same division as Detective Gumshoe. Detective Goodman who was also killed in the underground parking lot was homicide too. It's almost like a serial was after homicide detectives. Except the serial killing happened simultaneously, scientifically speaking. Well, I sure hope Detective Gumshoe isn't next on the list. 2 detectives were killed at 5:15. One at the prosecutor's office, and one at the police department. That can't be a coincidence. And that knife! What was it doing there? I'd better check this knife out. Okay, let's ask about something else, I guess. Oh. Well, it's the same thing every time we go around. Let's see, what else can we get out of him? If you're gonna tell us, okay. Victim's gender, I guess. Okay, how about the gender of the victim?
You want to know that? Okay, a hint. Let's see. First hint, the gender that's not female.
Aha! He was a guy.
What did I tell you? The boy's sharp. Stop goofing around, Mr. Wright. This is serious business.
Sorry, Your Honor. Hey, tell that to the Chief of Police. Detectives, okay. See you in a bit? Okay, see you in a bit, Coyle. Alright, so what's the last bit of evidence, or last bit of information we can get about the victim? ID number, I guess? Okay, how about you tell me the victim's ID number?
Sure, why not? It's not like you'll be able to tell who it is from that.
Of course not. You won't tell me their name, after all.
We keep a tight lid on ID numbers, so don't go getting your hopes up. The number is...
584-2189.
Well, that's quite long. And we have to remember these. It drives me nuts. 82... I can't do it.
You don't even get the first number right.
Well, Mr. Wright, does this tell you anything?
The ID number of the victim of the police alarming. Let me check the court record. What was Goodman's ID? Wait a minute! That's Goodman's ID number! What the heck? Actually, it does, Your Honor. It does! I think.
Meaning?
has to be what I think it is. But what does this mean?
Well, let's hear what the defense has to say. You say the ID number of the detective who was murdered at the police department tells you something? What does it tell you?
Well, here's Goodman's ID, and that's the ID number. Witness.
What is it, Mr. Wright? You're grinning like a schoolgirl on prom night.
No, it's just, I got confused. And this is news. Huh? Just come out with both guns blazing, like you always do. I don't think so. The police department, the prosecutor's office. 2 places, 2 detectives murdered at one time. I don't think I messed up. Actually, I happen to have a police ID number here.
Oh, is it yours?
No, Your Honor, I'm a defense attorney, remember? This is the ID number of our victim, Detective Goodman.
Shame on you, Righto! Personal IDs are top secret.
Detective Goodman's ID number is 5842189.
And this means what exactly?
Huh?
Wait, that ID number we heard from the chief earlier. That started with 82. I've forgotten.
You even got the first number wrong. The number the chief of police gave us was 5842189.
Whoa,
Wait a second, Wright. What does this mean? That's what I want to know. The 2 ID numbers are identical. In other words, the detective killed in the police department evidence room was Bruce Goodman. What does our witness think about that?
Oh, sharp as a tack, Righto. Sharp as a tack. But wait, Detective Goodman is our victim. He was killed at 5:15 in the underground parking lot.
Yet, a Detective Bruce Goodman was also killed at the police department, in the evidence room, at the exact same time. That's impossible. So, what we're saying is, the same person was killed at the same time, and in completely different location.
Order, order, order! Chief, what does this mean?
No. What I want to know is, why didn't I hear about this? Yes, it's top secret, fine, but I'm the prosecutor in charge of the case.
Now, just wait a second, Worthy. No need to get all flustered.
Your Honor, the police department has made a grave error in this case.
Wait. I said wait. Or didn't you hear me? The oversight, the grave error, Mr. Edgeworth, they're yours.
What? How? How dare?
We informed you yesterday. I believe it was our Officer Meekins who brought you the news.
Officer Meekins? Mr. Wright, where have we heard that name before? Wait. Aha! Excuse me, but this is Mr. Edgeworth. Is anywhere on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir. You don't mean him.
According to Meekins, he didn't accept the report? Hard to believe.
But your officer, he told me. He said that the report had nothing to do with the Lana Sky incident.
Detective Bruce Goodman murdered in the police department evidence room. Mr. Edgeworth, the victim's name is written right on the top of this report.
Ah! Why didn't your officer tell me? Honestly, I'm not sure if that officer was capable of making the connection. He did seem challenged.
In any case, this is a serious error. A gross negligence on duty on your part, Worthy.
But sir, you could have submitted that report this morning to the court as evidence. Then
No such luck this time, Worthy. Or should I say, unworthy.
What? Now, what was the second rule of evidence law? Hmm? Well, Mr. Wright? Huh? Oh, well, it's, rule number 2. New evidence may only be submitted if it concerns the case on trial. And how is this relevant? Normally, you'd submit a list of evidence to be used in court before the trial. Nice. This report wasn't on that list. So, what does this mean? I couldn't submit this evidence until a connection was proven in court. The connection was proven by Wright over here. Good job, Wright-o, my boy. Huh? I was just doing my job. No. No! It seems we have come to the end of this trial. You're becoming a thorn in my side. You are becoming a thorn in my side, Worthy. There have been rumors. After all, you were in the defense charges last year. I apologize for this terrible lack of due diligence on my part. Mr. Edgeworth. Please, just give me one day. I'll get to the bottom of what happened. If it's the last thing I do. You'd better get results this time. Really. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. I don't think there's ever been an error this serious in the history of this court. We will grant one further day as the prosecution has requested. Yeah, no. It's really not his fault. This will be sufficient, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Whatever your punishment for this is, for your hope I take it's not decisive. Very well. Court is adjourned. To be continued. Alright, it's 3 hours now. Let me see. So day 2 investigation. Oof. Yeah, that's a long investigation for day 2. Holy cow, okay. And then there's the day 3 trial. That's fairly long too. Oh, and then there's the second half of the day 3 trial. Oh wow. And that's even longer than the first half. And then there's another investigation. Oh wow, this is a really long case. Holy cow. Oh my gosh, day 3 investigation is so long. And then there's holy cow, this is a long case. Trial ladder part 2. Holy cow, what the heck? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're not going to be able to finish this in one day. Shoot. Oh well. So yeah, looks like we'll have to continue this tomorrow. Holy cow. That's so long. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for watching. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I guess shoot, I was hoping that we'd be able to finish this today so we could get back to Fossil Fighter soon, but it looks like it'll take at least one more day, maybe 2 more days, honestly, which is a bit of a shame, but I guess we'll get back to Fossil Fighters when we get to it, I guess. Anyway, so thanks so much for watching. Vane and Coil and Rain. I hopefully will see you tomorrow. Thank you anybody who's watching back on the recording. I hope you have a good evening, afternoon, whatever. And I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Have a good one.